Well, good morning. Today is day 210 in our journey through the Word, and just exciting as I see those numbers continue to grow as we continue this journey. Uh, just some wonderful, wonderful reading and words of constant hope and encouragement in today's reading that we've had. And as I just look back on the past 209 days and 210 counting today, just what an encouragement God's Word has been. So much as growing up as a Christian, uh, the things that I was taught, the things that I read seemed to come out and be more focused out of the New Testament. There's times in the Old Testament, obviously, but just reading through again, and I've read through the Bible just cover to cover before, and it's just not the same as tying all these threads together at the same time. And I know sometimes we're rereading saying, oh, I just read this, I want to skip this. Well, we don't need to skip those. It was put there for a reason. And we just need to read through and just find those words of love that God has written to us. Words of hope, words of encouragement, words to help us grow in our faith. And again, that's what we see in our reading today. I want to start in Jeremiah 1, the very first of our reading in Jeremiah, where it says, the Lord gave me this message. And before I go on, I want to say, have you ever felt just like, I really don't matter? In the big picture of things, I really don't matter. I am just, and you can put your name there, I am just Mark. Well, in the point, I am just Mark. I am nobody special. I am nobody of a point that anybody should make a big deal about me. I am just like you, and you're just like me. But in our reading today, we need to remember, and this is God's just words to you and words to me, where it says, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart. God has set you apart for what you're doing this very moment. There's nobody else on this earth that can take your place. And you may say, well, I don't do anything special. Well, you're judging that on your standards, on the little picture that you see, but you can't see the big picture that God sees. And so in understanding in God's plan, God, you do make a difference. God has before you were born, God has set you apart. And so if you don't know what that is, then spend time with God. Haven't we already this week spent time where God said, I was here, but nobody came to look for me? Encouragement to you today, if you think I'm just not that person, or I can't speak, again in today's passage, like God did with Moses, when Moses began to make excuse after excuse after excuse, God's basic word was, have faith in me. I will give you what you need. On your own, you're right. You can't do it. But with my strength, God says, you can do all things. And even today, Jeremiah says, I can't speak for you. I'm too young. And God says, don't say I'm too young, for you must go for wherever I send you, and say whatever I tell you. And don't be afraid of the people, for I will be with you and will protect you. I, the Lord, have spoken. Then the Lord reached out and touched his mouth and said, look, I have put my words in your mouth. That has been God's promise for me in my job today. He has promised to touch my mouth and give me those words. In the area God calls you, he promises that he will reach out and provide what you need. If you can't do it, all the more to be able to give God the glory. He's not calling you because of your ability. He will equip you to that where you can't take the glory for it, but you can give him the glory for it. The other part of today's reading, and again, age, don't be a respecter of age. We see in our reading today, Josiah, at the age of 8, he became king and he did what was pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. He followed the Lord faithfully. And we saw some snapshots of things in his life of different ages as he grew in the Lord. He was faithful and God was faithful in return, as God has promised to you and me. The faith of a child grew into a lifelong relationship with God. No matter where you are in your life, no matter what age, God will be faithful and be a lifelong relationship builder with you if you reach out and continue to walk with him. Spend time in his word every day, as we're doing through this chronological reading this year. Spend time in his word every day. I hope you can take those as words of great encouragement today. There's other things in our reading just jumped out at me. Jeremiah 2:11, and my key passage at the top is, what have we done? Has any nation ever traded its God for new ones, even though they are not gods at all? Then why have we? Why has Israel? Why have we traded from the one true God and worshiped so many others that are not gods at all? Words of hope today for you. And God saying, I knew you before you were even born, and I set you apart. If you don't know what that is, if you don't feel like you know what God has set you apart for, then spend time with him. Spend time in his word. Spend time praying with him. Spend time with godly counsel. And God will provide you what you need. Words of hope, words of encouragement today. And we must trust God's calling and have faith that he will guide us and give us the words, or give us the ability to say. He always will if we stay within his will. I hope you have a great weekend as we can finish out the month of July, and I will see you again on Monday as we continue our journey through the Word.